For most of my life, I believed something that many people still believe today. If you work hard, everything will eventually just work out. Maybe you were taught the same thing. Work hard, be responsible, pay your bills, save when you can, and stay loyal. Do the right thing, and eventually you'll be rewarded. For a long time, that advice seemed to make a lot of sense. In fact, it worked pretty well for generations. The problem is that the world has changed. Many people never got that memo. I remember looking around one day and realizing something felt really different. Not because I wasn't working hard, not at all, because I was. Not because I wasn't trying, I was. Not because I wasn't responsible. I absolutely was, and there for everyone. Yet, despite all of that, it felt like I was, running faster just to stay in the same place. Have you ever felt that way yourself? Like you're doing everything right, but somehow not getting ahead? Seriously, have you? If so, you're not alone. I hear this from people all the time. They worked for decades, raised their families, paid their taxes, and bought homes, sold and bought other homes, and made sacrifices. Yet, many are now questioning whether the future they expected is still possible. That's not because they failed. It's because the environment around us has changed. The cost of living changed, healthcare changed, insurance changed, housing changed, retirement changed, and suddenly the old formula didn't seem to work as well anymore. One thing I've learned is that working hard is still important. It's very important. But working hard without adapting can and is a problem. Think about it. If someone is using a map from 1985 to navigate today's roads, they're going to get lost. Not because they're incapable, not because they're unintelligent, because the map is outdated. Now we have GPS, AI. I think many people are trying to navigate today's financial reality using an old map, a map that no longer reflects the world they're living in. That's why so many people feel so frustrated. They're following rules that worked decades ago while trying to survive in a completely different environment now. One of the biggest shifts I experienced is realizing that creating options matters more than ever before. Years ago, one source of income might have been enough for some. Today, many people are discovering they need flexibility. They need choices. They need alternatives. That doesn't mean abandoning everything you've done. It doesn't mean panicking. It simply means being willing to look at new possibilities. And for some people, that's difficult. Not because they're unwilling, because change feels uncomfortable, especially after doing things a certain way for many, many, many years. But here's what I've learned: the people who adapt aren't always the smartest. They aren't always the most talented. They're often the most willing, willing to learn, willing to grow, willing to consider something different, willing to admit that the world has changed around us all. That's where opportunity begins. I think one of the most dangerous things we can do is spend all of our energy wishing things were the way they used to be. I understand the temptation. I feel it too sometimes. But the reality is that wishing doesn't change anything ever. Action does. Doing it. Learning does. Growth does. Taking one step forward does. You don't have to change your entire life tomorrow. You don't need to have a perfect plan. You don't need to know exactly how everything will unfold. You simply need to remain open-minded, open to learning, open to new possibilities, open to growth, open to the idea that the next chapter may look different than the one you originally had planned to do. And guess what? That's okay, because different doesn't automatically mean worse. Sometimes different becomes better. Think about that. Sometimes the thing we resist most becomes the thing that helps us move forward. The day I realized working hard wasn't enough anymore wasn't a day of defeat. It was actually a day of freedom, because once I understood that the world had changed, I stopped blaming myself and also started looking for solutions. That's a much more productive place to be always. If you've been feeling frustrated lately, I want you to know something. Seriously, you may not be failing. You may simply be trying to use an old map in a new world. And once you realize that, everything can begin to change. If this message connected with you, subscribe and join me for more honest conversations about retirement, starting over, creating options, and moving forward with confidence. And remember, working hard still does matter, but adapting matters too. If you have any questions or would like some help on anything, please let me know. I look forward to that.